I think the whole issue's silly. If you want to talk about them, talk about them. If you don't want to talk about them, don't talk about them. And I don't think coaches should ever mandate to reporters what they should write or shouldn't write.
Do you like the conference not to mandate?
No, I mean, I don't think anybody needs to tell us what to do. So if a coach needs somebody to tell them what to do, you got a lot more issues. I'm worried about Arizona. You know, I think we both have good quarterbacks, but I think how we call plays, and Rich will be able to tell you, is probably different than how Rich calls plays. I know our terminology is not the same. They play like it seems like more they have a tight end H-back type guy. We have more of a tight ends. I think we play 4 tight ends. I think it looks like they only play 1 tight end on film. They're more of a 4 or 5 wide receiver set than we are. So there's a lot of things that differentiate the 2 programs.
Under Mike Stoops.
1,000% different than what Mike did. Mike was a 4-down defensive scheme. These guys are a 3-3 stack team. So, you know, there's no carryover. There's no reason to watch film from last year or other games we had on Arizona. So we really have a 3-game breakdown on them, the 3 games they played this year. But schematically, they were 100% different than what they were when Mike was there.
Rob? You mentioned how they spread it out 4 or 5 wideouts. Erick Dargan's played a lot for you in nickel. He was playing some corner late in the game last week. How has he progressed over the last couple of years into a guy you can rely on?
Erick's done a really nice job, you know, and has continued to progress here. You know, and we know we're going to face teams in this league that, you know, besides Arizona, you know, Arizona State, Washington State, whatnot, they're going to spread you out and try to, you know, get a lot more athletes on the field. And we got to be able to do the same thing and got to get more athletes on the field. And I think, you know, that's why we feel confident in our secondary when you have guys like Troy Hill and Erick Dargan and guys like that, you know, we're going to play 4 and 5 and 6 DBs at times, but we consider those guys starters for us, and from that standpoint, whether it's our nickel team or our dime team. But I think Erick's done a really nice job, you know, growing into that role of being able to contribute. He played a lot for us last year when we played Arizona because you know, with Nick there, with Foles there, they were throwing the heck out of the ball. It was a different style of offense, but they were winging it around and didn't play much with a tight end, or they weren't 21 personnel, so to speak, where they were running it. So Dargs played a lot in that game, you know, and was really a nickel kid for us last year and has continued to develop in that role.
Such a big rangy safety. How do his skills translate well to playing some corner as well?
It just depends, you know, who he's matched up with, obviously. But the fact that he has the ability to do that, you know, where he can drop down and play linebacker in some of our nickel sets, but also still be a safety on the hash and play some corner. I think his versatility, you know, helps us in terms of being able to deploy him in different spots and people not knowing where he's going to be all the time.
Question. Warren?
Coach, kind of along that same line, does Arizona have a Jerron Kreiner receiver this year, that type of receiver?
Yeah, they got some good kids. Buckner, I think, has been a really good player. Has played a lot for him. You know, it's the same crew, I think. You know, they lost Jerron, but it's not like the cupboard's bare there. So they've got 3 or 4 kids that have over 10 catches in their first 3 games, and they're tall, long, angular guys. So, you know, they're going to, you know, they present good targets because they've got great range. But there's a few of those guys, Buckner being specific.
Rob? A lot of us outside media, fans too, are looking forward to this game and starting conference play. You guys have said all the right things as before. Do you need to address any more on a regular basis, win the day, and every game's a Super Bowl? I mean, is that essentially unsaid within the program at this point?
I mean, I think it's a fundamental of our program, and it's like anything else. We continue to emphasize it. You can just look at examples last week where people may not have taken games as serious as they should have taken them, and they lose. You know, you only get 12 opportunities. That's why I've never understood the let's circle this game and let's circle that game and circle that game. Well, when you do, you circled 3 of them, so you're 3 and 9. You know, you better come to play every single week. And the unique thing about our sport compared to any other sport is that the regular season matters. You know, the top 1 and 2 teams are the only guys who go. So if you have a slip up, you know, then you're putting it in the hands of somebody else. So if you don't approach every day and every week that way, then, you know, you got nobody to blame but yourself. So I think our guys understand that, and that it's on the line every single day. It's on the line every day you go out and practice, on the line every single game you play, because if you don't have it that way and you go out and lose, you got nobody to blame but yourself because maybe you said, well, hey, we were going to take somebody lightly. But it's such a short regular season. I don't understand the mentality of, you know, hey, we got a big one coming up in 2 weeks. You know, you got a big one every single time you get out there. It's just like a boxer. You know, maybe a 12-round fight. You could be winning on the scorecard 8-0, but in the 9th round, you can get knocked out. And that's what our game's like, so.
Not without giving away the game plan, just do blitz packages, you have to be a little more cautious with those against a guy like Scott who can do so much with his feet?
No. I mean, you got to pressure him and you got to tackle him, so you got to get after him.
And then in terms of the secondary, how good of a test do you think, given the first three opponents and now quarterback like Scott, how good of a test will this be for that group?
I think how good a test will this one coming up? I mean, I think we played two good quarterbacks in Applin and Derek Carr from Fresno, you know. And I look at what Fresno did again last week against Colorado, and I said it after the game. I thought Fresno was a pretty good football team. So, you know, I thought both those guys were high-level quarterbacks. You know, Applin was the player of the year in his conference, and I think Derek Carr's a really good prospect himself. So, but I think Matt's the best we're going to play so far to date.
Raquel